All right, y'all. Welcome back here. Welcome back to another episode of the Easy Money Sports Podcast. Of course, me myself as always, Sanders here. Got my boy Dupree here with me.
What's going on, man? Happy New Year.
Man,
Happy New
Happy New
Year.
Year. That's right. That's right. Happy New
Yeah.
Year, man. It's just it's been a while since we've been on. It's a new year down, 2024.
Yeah.
Man, we made it. We
Made it
made
to another one,
it.
man.
Made it to
Bless.
another
That's
one,
it.
man, for
Yeah.
sure. For sure. Man, a lot has transpired since the last time we've all made up for an episode, man. Uh, of course, we winding down here to the last stretch of football in the fall and in the winter. It's their
Yeah.
spring football, but then we got football as we know it will be love. It's coming to an end. We're down to the last week of the regular season in the NFL. And
hmm
now, of course, we're down to one more final game in college football for this year for the national championship. Uh, of course, college basketball swinging along. The NBA is swinging along here. They're
hmm
roughly almost about halfway through the season now. Um, for some, the season has been good. For some, it hasn't been. And for the
Yeah.
Detroit Pistons, it's been terrible.
It's been.
It's been.
Oof.
I'm talking about Charles Barkley, terrible. Like it's been so bad. I know it got
Yeah.
so bad that the wing. I don't know if it was all over, but for sure the wing stops in Detroit was like y'all gonna get free five boneless wings if the Pistons win.
If they win.
It's been a long time since they had one, man. They went on a 28 game losing streak. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that was, if I'm not mistaken, that was either the most or tied for the longest losing streak in major franchise history. Like, as far as all major franchise, NBA,
Yeah. I
NFL.
believe.
I think it was
hmm
either the most or tied for the most. But
Yeah.
that's a lot of losing, man. And it was just like, it was to the point where it was just like, are they gonna go 2-80? Because they were stuck at 2 wins.
Yeah.
Well, December 30th, 2023. Write that down. It all ended. Detroit ended up beating Toronto 129-127. Finally got
hmm
their 28 game losing streak. Man, they had a big game from Cade Cunningham. I think he had 30 points, 12 assists, so a good little double, man. It was just still a long ways to go. But
Oh yeah.
I know the Wingstop up there for sure went crazy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it
People went
went
to go get them
crazy.
wings, man.
What?
It was just that's. I know for sure it was the longest consecutive streak in NBA history.
Yeah.
Um, you could just see the weight that was lifted off of them when they finally won. And they played a lot of close games. Like they were in a lot of close games. I think they were up 18 on the Nets. I think, or they were
Yeah.
up 18 on Boston or something
On
like that. I think it
Boston.
was
Yeah, on
Boston
Boston. Yeah.
up 18 on Boston at halftime, and Boston comes back and wins the game. Like they were in a lot of close games leading up to that point, and it's like when they finally won, you just even Cade Cunningham. Like Cade Cunningham had been playing well throughout the whole stretch. I mean, he was balling, and you just see the relief on his face after they won. Um, and it that that type of thing. I mean, it sucks. It sucks for the team. It sucks for the coach because it's hard. Like, how do you answer? You just like how do you keep answering questions? Like, what you don't know how to answer those questions, man. Like,
Right.
are y'all gonna, have you seen something like this before? Are y'all gonna pass the street? Like, you're just seeing this all the time, and it's like they ain't going out there trying to lose 28 games in a row.
Right.
Like,
Right.
you ain't trying to do that, but there's definitely some things that need to get changed. Obviously, in Detroit, I was in Monty Williams is going to be there. They paid him, so he's going to be there. I think Cade Cunningham, he's definitely a bright spot, but they are they're struggling. They're struggling. It's 20 wins. Them getting 20 wins. It's I don't know if they get 20, but it was just. I think everybody was rooting for Detroit to break it and win a game. I think at a certain point, it's like, all right, they need to win. Like everybody was rooting for them, and other teams in the NBA are like, we're not going to be the team that we're not going to be the team that they beat. to break the streak and it'll be in Toronto. As long as it won the Hawks, I was good. As long as it won the Hawks, I was like, cool, we
For sure,
good. So,
for sure.
um, but
As long as it wasn't for me, as long as it wasn't OKC or if it wasn't Memphis, then yeah, I don't care what would have happened. But
that's it. That's it. So
that's
I'm
hilarious.
glad that it's over. I'm glad that it's over for one. They can kind of move on past it. Let's just let's not go on another one like that. Let's you
Right.
stay away from that again. So
Yeah. So, big man, then finally getting it done. Like I said, hopefully they can try to string some more wins in there throughout this season, man. I don't know, but we'll see. But just quickly, what's going on over there in the league that has happened, man? Over in the NFL, we're down to the last week of the regular season, week 18,
hmm
man, and it's just funny how uh back a while ago where uh I don't know exactly who all sat down and thought about this and came together where they were like, you know what? Let's start putting these division games, at the end of the year.
hmm
Everybody faces a division opponent the last week of the season, last 2 weeks of the season, however they want to do it. That way, there's a meaningful game for people at the end of the season because
yeah,
who knows what could be locked up and not locked up at that point. And this week has the perfect sum of everything that you can think of what's going on in the NFL. So if you look at it right now, we got the playoffs coming up. This is, like I said, the last week of the regular season. Over in the AFC, teams that have clinched a playoff spot, you got Baltimore,
hmm
Miami has clinched a playoff spot. Cleveland has clinched a playoff spot, and also the Kansas City Chiefs. So obviously the Chiefs have won the West. They're locked in at the 3 seed, I believe. Ravens
yeah.
has a number one overall seed in the AFC. Cleveland is locked in at the 5 seed. And then of course Miami is kind of still waiting on seeding, but they are locked into the playoffs. So that leaves 3 spots for basically 5 teams left, which is Buffalo,
hmm
Houston, Jacksonville, Indianapolis, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. So you got 3 spots with 5 teams. It's gonna get crazy.
Yeah,
And if you think that's bad, you look over in the NFC. Well, you've got Dallas and Philly have both clinched a playoff spot. Detroit's clinched a playoff spot. San Francisco has the number one seed, and the Rams, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they've clinched a playoff spot already.
I
If I'm not
think.
mistaken, I believe they
Let me
have.
check. Let me check on that. Keep going.
So you have those teams right there, which the 49ers are locked in at the 1 seed. Uh, don't know who could be that 2 seed right now between Dallas and Philly. Detroit is pretty much locked in the 3 seed, and I believe that the Rams right now will be locked in somewhere at the either 5 or 6 spot. I believe they'll probably be right at 6, but either way, they are. I believe
The
they
Rams
are
have
in.
clinched.
Yeah, they
The
are
Rams
in.
clinched.
They are in. So that's that. So then now when you think about that in the NFC, there's 2 spots left with 5 teams trying to get in, which that'll be that's I believe that's Seattle,
hmm
technically the Saints, Tampa, Minnesota, and Green Bay are all trying to. And if you want to be technical, 6 if you throw in the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah,
Crazy, crazy, crazy how it's gonna go. All
yeah.
these scenarios can go so many different ways. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're ready, get your notebook and paper and your pencil and get ready to take these notes. These are the clinching scenarios for every single team that's still alive. It's
Here we
let me
go.
know. Let me know if I'm going too fast. So we're gonna start. We're gonna start over in the AFC, right? So we'll start over
Yeah.
in the AFC. So we'll start with Houston. So Houston has a chance to win both the AFC South or just make the playoffs.
hmm
Houston can win the AFC South with a win against Indianapolis on Saturday or a Jacksonville loss. Just to clinch a playoff berth, Houston would need to have a win or a tie against
hmm
Indianapolis, plus Jacksonville losing to Tennessee, plus the Pittsburgh Steelers losing or tying to the Baltimore Ravens. For the
Okay.
Indianapolis Colts, they can also win the AFC South. They can win the AFC South with a win against Houston plus a Jacksonville loss or tie to the Tennessee Titans. Or Houston and Indianapolis can tie and a Jacksonville loss. Houston is the AFC South champion. Like I said, let me know if I'm losing you here. Let me know if
All
I'm losing you
right,
here. I know it's a lot.
keep going, keep going.
For the Colts to just get a playoff spot,
Hmm.
um, they can either win or tie with Houston or against Houston. Plus, they need a Pittsburgh loss or tie to get in.
Okay, okay,
All right. Jacksonville.
yep,
It's kind of simple. For them to win the AFC South, they just have to win against the Titans, or they get a tie against the Titans and hope that Houston and the Colts end in the tie.
okay,
For them to get in the playoffs, just to clinch a playoff berth, they need to either just have a tie with the Titans, plus the Steelers need to lose or tie to the Ravens, or Pittsburgh loses to Baltimore, plus Denver losing or tying to the Raiders, and then they just need a winner between Houston and Indianapolis. That's the
okay.
AFC South right there. So mind you, we got four divisions that still
That's
haven't been
still up
locked
for
up yet.
grabs. Yeah,
Both the AFC East and AFC South, and the NFC East and NFC South. So this
yeah,
is wild. All right. Speaking of the AFC East, it's kind of simple here for Buffalo, right?
yep.
They pretty much, in a way, have to win to guarantee that they're in, or they might be out. But they'll need a lot of help. If they win, obviously they clinch the AFC East. They'll get the
Hmm.
2 seed. They're in against Miami. For them to just clinch a playoff berth, they need to finish in a tie, or Pittsburgh loses or ties to Baltimore,
Hmm.
or Jacksonville loses and ties to Tennessee, or Houston and Indianapolis ending in a tie.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course, Miami would just they will win the AFC East if they just go ahead and win. If they
Hmm.
lose, obviously they have a playoff spot, but now at that point somebody's gonna get left out.
Hmm.
But they don't have it the worst. Let me tell you what the Pittsburgh Steelers got here. Now, this is how they can make the playoffs, right? They have to win at Baltimore,
Hmm.
plus they need a Buffalo loss. So they need a Miami win to get in.
Hmm.
Or they win against Baltimore, plus Jacksonville loses or ties against the Titans. Or they win, Houston and Indianapolis goes in a tie. Or the Steelers have a tie, plus a Jacksonville loss, plus just a winner between Houston and Indianapolis. Or they need a Jacksonville loss, plus Denver winning against the Raiders, and a winner between Houston and Indianapolis.
All right. So, is it just safe to say the Steelers not making the playoffs? I don't know. But they need a lot
They need a lot,
because
but
they need to win and just about everybody to lose or
to
tie.
lose. All right, class, are you ready for the NFC?
We might as well.
So look, like we said over there, pretty much only thing that we're looking at is the two more division winners and the other two wild card spots on figuring
Yeah.
out, or really just the one wild card spot essentially, because whoever's
Yeah.
the winner of the East is going to take the 2 seed, and the loser ends up being the 5 seed.
Five
So
seed. Yeah.
with the NFC East, Dallas to clinch that, all they have to do is win against Washington or tie, and plus a Philly tie or a Philly loss. So don't know how that'll happen, but we'll see. For Philly, they need to win against the Giants, and they need a Dallas loss or tie,
Hmm.
or they can have a tie with the Giants and a Dallas loss to the Commanders. So pretty simple for the NFC East. Over in the NFC South, we'll start with Tampa Bay. It's real simple for them. They win against Carolina, they're in, or they can either get a tie against Carolina, and then they need a Saints loss or tie. Even if they don't win the NFC South, they have a chance to to get into the playoffs as well, just with a wild card berth. And how they can get that is they would have to have a tie with the Panthers, and they need a Seahawks loss and a Green Bay loss or tie to the Bears. And I believe the Seahawks are playing the Cardinals.
I think so.
So I don't know. For the Saints, for them to win the NFC South, they have to win against the Falcons, and they need a Tampa Bay loss or tie to the Panthers. Or if they end up tying with the Falcons and a Tampa Bay loss to the Panthers. For them to get a playoff berth, the Saints have to win. They would need a Seahawks loss or tie and a Green Bay loss or tie, or they tie with Atlanta and both Seattle and Green Bay loses. For the Atlanta Falcons, it's simple. Only thing they can do is just clinch the division. They need
Hmm.
to win against the Saints, and they need a Panthers victory over the Buccaneers. So a win against the Saints and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost. For Seattle to clinch a playoff berth, they need to win plus have a Packers loss or tie, or they can tie with the Cardinals, and they need Green Bay to lose, Tampa Bay to either lose or tie, or they can tie again with the Cardinals, and they would need a Green Bay loss and a Saints loss or tie. For Minnesota, because they're still
Oh
technically
wow,
alive.
really?
They are, yeah, technically they are
Sheesh.
still alive. Minnesota Vikings need a win against the Detroit Lions, which now was not really a meaningful game to a certain extent
Hmm.
because who knows, Detroit may be resting their starters, but a win against the Detroit Lions plus uh, Packers need to lose to the Bears and they need Seattle. So essentially, the Vikings need to win against Detroit, and they need Green Bay, Seattle, and Tampa Bay all to lose,
Okay.
or they win Green Bay, Seattle, and the Saints to lose. So they're cheering for some of everybody, right?
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
but eventually, essentially, they have to win. All right.
That's it. And hope the dominoes fall.
And you thought Pittsburgh was bad. Let me tell you about Green Bay here. Green Bay to clinch a playoff berth. They can either win or tie. They can win or tie with uh the Chicago Bears, and they
Hmm.
need a Seahawks they need the Seahawks to lose or tie, and they need the Saints to lose or tie. That's one scenario. Or they end up in the tie, Seattle end up in the tie, Tampa Bay loses or ties with the Panthers, or Minnesota loses and ties, Seattle loses, Tampa Bay loses. Or Minnesota loses or tie, Seattle
Hmm.
loses, New Orleans loses.
So it's safe to say that Green Bay probably won't be in the dance either. These scenarios get so crazy, man.
It's wild, and I don't know. Let's just be honest. I don't think that those the ties probably won't happen, so that's going to be tough. The only one I
Hmm.
could possibly see is maybe Houston to Indianapolis, but
Two
I
evenly
don't know.
matched teams.
Yeah,
Those are two
two evenly
evenly
matched
matched
teams, so
teams.
I can see that, but I don't know. But there's basically a lot of the fans don't know who to cheer for, right?
No.
Only a few people have it simple, right? You know what I'm saying? For
Yeah, that's
example,
it.
like, I mean, like, of course, Atlanta, if you're an Atlanta Falcon fan, you're sitting up here saying you're cheering you once while their game is playing with the Saints, you have to win.
You are cheering for
You're
Carolina.
also cheering for Carolina because that game and how they set it up is they make the game play at the same time. So now you watching the game where you there or you at the game there, and then
And
at
you
the
see the score
jumbotron you keep
updates.
looking at the score. you you like you, you know
You
or
basically know if it's over or not before
or
before you.
or or if you got the 1 o'clock game and maybe the other team playing at 4:30 and you like, oh, we got to sit here and wait on them. Or more than likely, they're gonna end up playing them at the same time. So whoever finishes first is probably looking like,
What we doing?
where we
Yeah.
going? We go. It's gonna be crazy, man. It's gonna be crazy. I think, me personally, I think what ends up happening is I don't think there'll be no ties. Um, there's gonna be
Nah,
a couple. There's gonna be a couple teams that's gonna have winning records, and they're not gonna make the playoffs.
straight
It's
like that.
just, it is what it is. Who will it be?
Yep.
I don't know.
TBD.
Yeah, I don't know, but that's the beauty of it, man. But you gotta love it though. The fact that it's coming down like this to the last week, and there's so many teams that's
Hmm.
in the running that like legit has a chance. Some need way more help than others, but the fact that they have this chance, and in a way, I don't want to say they control their own destiny, but they got a chance. So,
Hmm.
and I think that sometimes that's all you can ask for, is that that you get a chance to at least, you know, finish on a high note, try to make your way into the playoffs,
Yep.
however it may be. So I don't know. I'm interested to see. I'll definitely
Yeah.
be glued in, because you got 2 games coming up this Saturday, and then
Hmm.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, both CBX and Fox are going to have a doubleheader, so that way you don't have to worry about who's headlining the doubleheader this week. You'll have 2 games on at the same time, whatever is interesting.
Hmm.
Then of course you got the Sunday night game, uh, which I think is going to be
It's
Buffalo
Miami and
Miami.
Buffalo.
So
Yep.
you know, I mean,
Yeah. The NFL did it right, man, by putting these divisional games at the end of the season. And I think they kind of saw it. And I can't tell you how long they've been doing this. They might be doing it for a while, but you go back and you think about, when the NFC East was the NFC least, and it seemed like every year for the past, every year in a 4 year span, really in that 4 year span, they had four different division champions. But every year, the last game of the season in that division there was a game that determined who was going to win it. Um, and so because there's one more game now, they're more competitive. Some of these divisions are a little more competitive now. Teams are a little bit closer. So you got these games that are meaningful, not just in divisional races, but like you said, playoff races. You got team like you said, teams are gonna be rooting for other teams, and like that Baltimore and Pittsburgh games, like, all right, they're not playing all their guys. They're not gonna play all their guys. So if you're Pittsburgh, okay, cool, we need to win this game, but then you need everybody else, you know, all those different scenarios that you just named off to happen. You need one of those to take place. Um, so, but if you you got the 49ers and the Rams, where it's like both of them are in, so this really don't matter for us. Detroit and Minnesota, okay, like you said, Detroit, they might be sitting their guys. It matters for Minnesota if I'm green, like, so it's good. It's good because, like you said, now it makes that last week where before, like, these games really don't matter. It makes them matter now, especially when you have all these teams that are still have a viable shot of getting into the playoffs. This stuff matters. It matters. So it should be fun. Sunday should be fun.
yeah, Sunday should be fun. Um, even the 2 games on Saturday, uh,
Hmm.
pretty interesting too. And going into the pickums for this week, that first game that we got on tap there is that Saturday night primetime game between the Houston Texans and the Indianapolis Colts. Man, 2 teams who we would have never thought would be in this
Man.
position, getting here. Like, we kind of figured that Houston would improve with D'Amico Ryans, but
Hmm.
not this big of a jump.
No.
Um, we thought Indy would have to have some work being done, and especially after they lost Anthony Richardson earlier in the season, and yet they've righted the ship, and here they are too. So both teams who essentially have a chance here to at worst case scenario clinch a playoff spot here, and then even if whoever loses isn't necessarily even really out, so it's not a
Yeah.
they'll need some help, but
Hmm.
the fact
They
that
still got a shot.
even if they
Yeah.
lose, they're not technically eliminated, and the fact that they're playing on Saturday, so once they're done, they can kind of sit back and watch and see who they need
Yep.
to root for or root against,
Yeah.
for sure. But man, I mean, think about this, right? We haven't seen Houston hasn't been in any primetime games this year. They've all been, I
Mm-mm.
think, all their games been at 1 o'clock. So now which if you're a college football fan, I mean, you've seen C.J. Stroud, but now everybody else now primetime is going to get a chance to see the professional CJ Stroud,
CJ Stroud. Yep.
play, getting his chance out there, man, and just the story that we have right here with the Houston Texans, and of course with the Indianapolis Colts too, because I mean, everybody part that they were dead to rights after they lost Anthony Richardson. Who you got in this one?
This is for me. This is probably the toughest one to pick out of the games that we have. Like you said, I thought Jacksonville at the beginning of the year was going to run away with this division. I didn't see Indianapolis, Tennessee, or Houston for that matter competing for the divisional crown. And the fact that it's a three-team race right now is really crazy. Didn't expect CJ Stroud to be playing the way that he's playing. Didn't expect for Indianapolis to do anything. And then Anthony Richardson goes down like you mentioned, and Gardner Minshew comes in, and they've been clicking. I'm gonna pick Houston though. I'm gonna pick Houston. I think that the Texans find a way to win this game. I think it's gonna be a tight game. I think they find a way to win this game, and they win the division. I think Jacksonville is just they've had their ups and downs. Trevor Lawrence being out, all the little injuries that they've had. I think Houston wins this game. I'm taking Houston. I'm gonna take Houston.
Yeah, this was kind of tough for me too. I was going back and forth a lot, um, because I don't know. I mean, it was kind of looking and seeing and trying to figure out, I guess, like what gives one team really the edge over the other. There's nothing really there, in a way that doesn't really give any team, an edge. You can't say it's coaching because they're both rookie head coaches. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't say it's coaching. You can't. I mean, you can't really go with I guess with experience on players because I mean, yeah, Gardner Minshew has been in the league for a minute, but this is probably the most
Mm-hmm.
meaningful game he's ever been in his NFL tenure for sure. Um, I mean, a lot of those guys. I'm not sure how many of these guys were on that roster from the last time that the Colts made the playoffs. I'm not sure,
Mm-hmm.
how many of those guys are actually there. And then you can say the same thing for Houston too. So I mean, no one really just kind of has like a edge that kind of sticks out or an advantage that sticks out. So it really is kind of just like a coin flip, like a legit pick 'em. I mean, I don't. I mean, if you were to pick Houston, I wouldn't disagree with you. If you went Indianapolis, I couldn't either because it's a valid way for
Mm-hmm.
both of them. But I'm with you though. I think Houston finds a way to get it done. Uh, and they'll end up winning. I don't know if they'll get. I don't know if they'll get the division because I don't. I'm not.
I don't
I
see
don't.
Jacksonville losing to
I
Tennessee.
don't. I don't trust Tennessee. Yeah, I don't trust Tennessee to play
Yeah.
spoiler. Could they do it? Yes, but I just don't. I don't trust Tennessee to play spoiler.
Yeah.
Will Levis probably won't go. It's looking like it's going to be Ryan Tannehill starting. So I don't know. I think Jacksonville has enough to kind of get that done. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm a roll with Houston too, and I think they'll clinch away and get into the playoffs here at least. Worst case scenario, they'll go ahead and get the playoffs because whoever wins this can kind of assure themselves at least to say, hey, depending on what happens with everybody else, we'll get in the playoffs. Because I mean,
Yeah.
anything can go at that point. So I'm a roll with you with that one. I'm gonna go with Houston as well. All right, so the next game up on tap originally was going to be the Rams and 49ers.
Yeah.
And it didn't hit me until after you said that both teams they clinched a playoff spot. So Niners have the 1 seed. The Rams at worst, I think, will be the
I
six
think
seed.
6. Yeah.
So they're
Mm-hmm.
kind of they're stuck in there at that point. So that's that, which makes it an interesting headline for the next week. But we'll save that for next week. That's called foreshadowing, people. We'll save it for next week. If you know, you know. If because I don't want to spoil it, but if you
Yeah,
know where I'm going with that. And so,
yeah. Don't
if you
say
look
it.
at the
Yeah.
standings, you'll see where that's going. If you look at the standings, but we'll go. Let's go with a game that you kind of mentioned here a little bit, and that's with Minnesota and Detroit. Um,
Mm,
Detroit is locked in the 3 seed. If you know, you know. But they seem like they're gonna be locked in the 3 seed because of the debacle they pulled on last Saturday. Um, man, I don't even want to revisit that. I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna leave it
yeah.
alone. But they're gonna be
Whatever.
locked in
Yeah.
at 3 seed at this point. That's what it's looking like. It is what it is. But Minnesota, obviously, um, in the hunt right here. They've gone through a thousand quarterbacks. It seemed like ever since Kirk
Mm,
Cousins went down. But right here in the running, I mean, kind of similar to what like this Pittsburgh and Baltimore is kind of going through, right?
yeah.
Baltimore's locked in the 1 seed, probably going to rest they well they are resting they starters. We already got the word that Tyler Huntley is going to be QB1 for Sunday's matchup. So no Lamar Jackson. Pittsburgh is trying to make it into the playoffs, but Baltimore is there. So it's kind of like, do they get a chance to get this win right here, playing against the backups? Would Detroit do the same thing? Are they going to rest their starters, knowing that they pretty much are locked in the 3 seed, and then it's
Yeah.
Minnesota, and then obviously they'll need some help because there's Green Bay that's in front of them, I believe. I think Seattle's in front of them, so they kind of need some teams
Hmm.
to lose. But maybe outside of Seattle and maybe Green Bay, those two teams there kind of all are playing other teams who don't really have much to play for, but divisional opponents. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
Um, who you got in that one between Minnesota and Detroit
I take Minnesota because I would assume, and I mean, you never know. Dan Campbell kind of
at
rolls
this
to the
point?
beat of his
At this,
own drum. It kind of is what it is. Don't know what that man gonna do.
he might make
I
them
would,
play a whole half.
man. What I would imagine, I would imagine that Jared Goff and those guys aren't gonna play. So I take Minnesota. I still don't think they would make the playoffs, but with what is on the line, with them having the shot to make the playoffs, I would imagine that they would go out there and put forth a good effort to try to win this football game. And like I said, I would imagine that Detroit's not playing their guys. So I would pick Minnesota. I just don't think that they would make the playoffs because they need so much help. I don't, and they're behind so many teams. I mean, I don't see it. I just don't see it. Like I said, even Temp, Tampa Bay could win and be in and win the division. If Tampa Bay was to lose and not win the NFC South, they still have a chance to make the playoffs before Minnesota does.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like that just
yeah.
gives you like that's just like yeah, I just don't see them. I don't see a scenario with them being in the playoffs. But I could see them winning the football game. So I'll take Minnesota.
I think Detroit does what they did last year to
Mm,
Green Bay,
okay.
and don't even try to give them the hope of doing it.
Making it. Okay.
Now. This is obviously kind of predicated on. This is me thinking that I think Dan Campbell's going to have his guys play. How long? I don't know, but I think he'll have them
Okay.
play. I think they'll have them play, and
Mm-hmm.
it could be
Which
just
would not
enough.
be
And
smart, but
it wouldn't be, but I mean, he went for 2, 3 different times and didn't have to after the I said I was going to leave it alone. Anyway, um, I,
I hear you, bro.
I, I,
I'm with you.
I would go. I think I'm also gonna go with Detroit just because Minnesota struggled real bad last week against Green
Mm-hmm.
Bay, and you can just kind of tell that it's weird. People talk bad about Kirk Cousins and how he's average and everything like that, but man, the offense just looks it's not the same without him.
Mm-hmm.
And they just hadn't had anybody consistently to get what they done. I mean, they run the ball okay, but it's been hard for them to consistently run the ball like that. I mean, Ty Chandler. I mean, Chandler is doing the best that he can. I'm
Yeah.
liking the effort, but I don't know. And then just the defense sometimes is just gives up a lot of big plays. Um, Now, granted, if Detroit doesn't play its starters, they probably should go ahead and win. But I think that Coach Campbell will end up playing them some just enough. I guess maybe a series or two. And I
Mm,
think they may have enough to where they do. And I just don't trust Minnesota enough. So that's just kind of me just not trusting Minnesota. So that's why I'm gonna go with
okay.
Detroit. Even though
Understandable.
even though Minnesota probably would do it because the smart thing for Coach Campbell to do would be to just rest his guys. They're locked in at the 3 seed. They don't have anything else to play
That's it.
for.
You got to play next week regardless. That's it.
You're playing next week anyway. So get ready for that. Um, and then of course, man, the biggest game of next week because it's pretty much is for one of these teams. It's kind of almost do or die, right? You got the Buffalo Bills, who's been up and down so much this season. Um, but quiet is kept, have been right there in the hunt of everything, and now
Yep.
because of the fact that Miami just can't win against superior opponents,
Yeah.
uh, now it's going down to here week 18, Buffalo, Miami. The winner of this is the division champs, and depending on who loses, are either going on the road for a playoff game or possibly not making the playoffs at all.
Yeah.
Um, who you got in this one between the Bills and the Dolphins?
I want to take the Bills. I want to take the Bills because Miami has not been playing well. The injury to Bradley Chubb, which Bradley Chubb, it sucks for Bradley Chubb. I don't know why he they were still in the game at that point. I mean, he got hurt. I think it was like 4 minutes. I think it was 3 minutes, three and some change left in the game when he got hurt. Why they were still in, I do not know. I don't understand why they were still in the football game at that point. It was 56-19. What else?
The
I
game is
I,
over.
I understand, like, and it's tough. It's tough because being on this side of it, like, yeah, we won't fight. We're gonna keep fighting. We're not gonna lay down. We're not gonna give up. But the game is over, and going into it, this coming week, next week, we have a game where the division crown is on the line, and we're playing against a team who's been hot and who thrashed us earlier in the year. So I need my horses. So Bradley defense, y'all sit down and chill. Let's get ready for next week. So I hate that he got hurt. The reason why I'm taking Miami is because one, Miami's at home, and it's hard to beat a division opponent twice. It's hard for me to think that Buffalo's gonna go down to Miami and beat them again. I could they do it? Of course they could. I just don't see it. It's hard to beat an opponent twice, especially in your division. Miami is explosive. I think that they play obviously they play extremely well at home. They play way better at home than they do on the road. And I think overall throughout the season, I think Miami has been a better team than Buffalo. They just, like you said, have not been able to. A lot of the better teams in the league that they've played, they've lost to. And I think they need this one as a confidence boost. They're dealing with some injuries. Raheem Mostert, is he going to be able to go? Jalen Waters, he going to be able to go? You had the whole thing with Tyreek Hill. I'm glad that all of his, he's okay and his family's okay. But you had the thing with Tyreek Hill earlier. How do they look going into this football game? Buffalo this is it. Really, I think this is it. If they lose, I think they're done. But I'm taking Miami. I'm gonna take Miami at home. Take Miami at home.
I'm taking Miami as well, just because this did like I'm right. Just because this one is at home for them. All of Pretty much all the top opponents they've had to play outside of that, I want to say Dallas,
Hmm.
they had to go on the road or at a neutral
Yeah,
site, so they lost their close one to the Chiefs.
yeah,
I mean, the first time they played the Bills was in Buffalo, got blew out. Had to play Philly in Philly, had to play Baltimore in Baltimore. So, you know, kind of tough. and they are a better team at home than they are on the road. So as simple as that. And on top of that, I mean, if they go ahead and win that, they got the 2 seed at least, and now they at
Mm-hmm.
least got they're guaranteed at least two if they can
Home
win them,
games. Yep,
two
they can
home
win them.
games. You know that they can
Yep.
win them. And you just never know what could happen, you know, in the playoffs to where they could possibly host the AFC Championship. You know, compared to if they lose, it's more than likely they're going to, I guess, depending on what happens with Cleveland and Cincinnati, what happens there, they're either being a 5 or a 6 seed, and now
Mm-hmm.
going to have to go on the road and face a whoever face Kansas City or face
Mm-hmm. Or face a
possibly
Houston or
Jacksonville or
yeah,
Houston,
yeah,
whoever it could be at that moment. And I would probably still lean towards them to pick them on that, but I wouldn't be that confident with them just because them being on the road and
yep.
they haven't shown us that they could win on the road against superior opponents. So
Mm-hmm.
they kind of have to, just like you said, for their psyche, for their mental, to get them back to feeling themselves. Man, they have to get this one. I know Buffalo's thinking they have to too, but for Miami's sake, they have to too as well.
Yeah.
So um,
How
I
about
think
Buffalo still having a shot to be the 2 seed too, bro? Like that's
after all of that, right after I think it wasn't that one. They were what 5 and 6, 6 and 6 at one point. They
bro.
reeled out four
Like
straight now.
like the fact that
So
they still have a shot to win a division and be the 2 seed, like after the season they've been having, like that's insane.
that's scary. That's scary. That's because that's why I was somewhat was gonna. I was leaning towards Buffalo just because I feel like outside of maybe outside the way of how San Francisco looked, that's probably the next hottest team, and Baltimore. Let me not throw out Baltimore. Let me like
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
probably besides from Baltimore and San Francisco, the next hottest team at least
Might have
for
been them.
sure
Yeah.
has to be the Bills. I mean, because everybody else has kind of been up and down these last few weeks and everything like
Mm-hmm.
that, and they just quietly just had their head down and they just kept winning, and they've been right there in the thick of things, man. So uh, interested to see what may happen, but I'm a roll with the Dolphins as well, just because it is at home. They do play better at home, and I know they would rather want to have that 2 seed than maybe that 5 or that
Mm-hmm.
6 seed. So,
No doubt.
and on top of that, if they mess around and lose, then now other teams are sweating. Now the loser between Houston and Indy is sweating. They're like,
Oh yeah.
well, damn, that's a spot that we can't get. Same thing for Pittsburgh. They're like, well, damn, that's a spot that we may not be able to have now. So
Yeah.
if other teams want to feel good, they for sure are pulling for Miami
Miami to win
to
for
win
sure. They
Sunday
need
night.
Miami to win.
And on top of that, the fact that that's gonna be the last game that of the regular season, so everybody is just gonna
Yeah.
be like locked in, like just wait,
Mm-hmm.
stand up super late, trying to make sure that they can say that they in or ain't in. So um, it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Nah,
crazy,
no
but
doubt.
man, that I mean, you wouldn't want it really any other way.
Nah, nope.
Why not? Why not? I mean, the fact that it can come down like that, and there's just so many teams that legit have a chance to just get in the dance. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
really all you can ask for, right? It's just to want to just get in the dance with it, right? So it's gonna be interesting to see. Can't wait. I'm definitely gonna be locked in. I know all gonna be locked in, just trying to figure out, what's going to happen. And then at that
Mm-hmm.
point, the rest of the teams are starting getting ready for the draft, and then we get ready here for the playoffs, man. And it's
That's it.
it's a whole new season at that point, whole new
Whole new
season.
season.
Uh, man, and speaking of seasons, we we've unfortunately, but fortunately, have made it down here to uh, the last college football game of the season.
Yep.
The last time that we're seeing a 14 playoff. Um,
Yep.
bowl season is coming to an end. It's been an interesting bowl season, man.
Yeah.
We've a lot of good games, uh, a lot of blowouts, controversial calls. You know, some that you might have seen, some that you didn't see. I mean, opt outs. it's been kind of crazy. But real quick before we get into the semis, I want to get into some of the New Year's Six bowl games, man, because they were, they were interesting to say the least too. Because I mean,
Hmm.
some we kind of were not surprised at. Like I wasn't surprised that Oregon ended up killing Liberty like that. I mean, th-
Yeah.
that was that was gonna happen. But then when you look at like, for example, right, in the Cotton Bowl. Now, granted, I know there was no Marvin Harrison Jr. and
Hmm.
a couple other guys that were missing. To think about all the guys that they have like on that roster, the recruits, these they still got some heavy hitters that's on that roster, and they can only muster up 3 points against Missouri. That was, to me, that was a that was a little insane. And then, I mean, obviously, the the biggest one was between Georgia and Florida State, because everyone was kind of waiting to see what was going to happen with that. And there were some people that were basically like, "We told you so," and some was just like, "Well, damn. I mean, it was going to be bad, but not that bad." So it's like, man, which one of the New Year's Six games that I guess you want to chime on a bit more?
Um, really, really, all of them.
Okay.
Not so much the Ohio State, Missouri. I think the score is what surprised people more than anything. But just really just all of them in totality. There's issues in totality, man. So if I had to pick a game, it'd be Georgia and Florida State because I'm sick of Florida State at this point. Because you, I believe that they did everything they needed to do to be in the playoff. You were undefeated, won your conference, you did what you needed to do. Unfortunately, it is what it is. You didn't look the way that you looked before the injury to Jordan Travis. Okay, cool. You're playing against Georgia, who for if not all the season, 10, 11 weeks out of 12, were ranked number one in the country, who had one loss in the conference championship game, who a lot of people think and probably still think is the best team in the nation, who didn't make the playoff as well. And you get pinned head to head in one of the most prestigious ball games in college football history. And I picked Georgia to win, but I thought that both sides were not going to have their guys. I thought both sides were going to have, 20 guys that were going to opt out, and it was going to be the who's who bowl. Like, who is this guy? Who is that guy? Who is that? Who is that? And granted, I was halfway around the world, so when the game came on, it was 1 o'clock where I was at in the morning, and I hear that Georgia's has their guys playing because they're coming back. They want to send the seniors off the right way. This would be the fifth year win for the seniors, and yada 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 yada. And Florida State has 29 guys that opted out, or 27. One of the two, I think 27. I think
Yeah, it was 20.
27
It was
guys.
27.
27 guys opt out of the game. I fell asleep. I didn't watch a play, Sanders. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. I didn't watch a play. I fell asleep before kickoff. When I woke up, it was 3:30 in the morning, and the score was 42-3. I turned the game off and I went back to sleep. And Florida State players and fans have the audacity to say that when Alabama lost to Michigan, they had the audacity to comment and talk about how they should have been in over Alabama with the performance that you just put forth in the Orange Bowl. Kirby Smart was absolutely right. Do I think that at full strength, Florida State beats Georgia? No. Even with Jordan Travis, I don't think they beat Georgia. But you have an opportunity to make a statement. They've gone on, they all the hooting and hollering they did after they made the playoffs, rightfully so. You got people, you got the governor of the state, you got celebrities, sending stuff to the committee. You have everybody going to bat for you, and you have an opportunity to play against a worthy opponent, the two-time back-to-back national champion, to make a statement and say, we win this game, this stamps that we should have been in the playoff. And you not only go out there and lose, you lose by 60, and half the guys that were on that team did not play. That ain't Kirby Smart fault that he got his guys to get ready to play. That he got the guys that could have opted out, he got them to play. That ain't Kirby Smart fault. That ain't Georgia fault. That's on Florida State. And then you turn around and you got something to say about Alabama. I don't think Florida State beats Alabama. Why they talking crazy? I don't think they beat Alabama. So the fact that you have the only person that I will hear something from is Jordan Travis because he literally could not play. I'll take it from Jordan Travis. Anybody else, especially the guys that opted out of that game, opted out of the Georgia game, Florida State had one starting defensive lineman that played the whole season playing against Georgia on December 30th. One starter on the D line played. One starter. Georgia had all their guys. The bigger problem is with the portal and with these guys opting out of these ball games. I'm sick of dudes opting out of ball games. I'm so done. It irks me. It irks me that guys they opt out of these ball games. 27 guys from Florida State opted out. I don't remember the backup quarterback's name for Florida State, but he hit the portal before the game was even announced. What has he done before any of this to hit the portal? You were going to be the guy. You're going to be the guy, or at least be in competition with. I think it's Rodemaker. That's the is that the
Tate
freshman?
Rodemaker. No, Tate
You're going to
Rodemaker
be
is the
in.
one who transferred.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Rodemaker is the one that transferred.
Brock Glenn is who you thinking about. Yeah,
Okay, Glenn.
yeah.
Either you're going to be the guy Rodemaker, or you're going to be in competition with Brock Glenn to be the guy. Why are you hitting the portal? Why are you leaving? Guys don't man. The portal is not what everybody thinks it is. That can be. We can go into a whole nother. That can be a whole nother conversation. But the portal is not what people think it is. These dudes are opting out. That is not the Florida State team that we saw all year, even without Jordan Travis. That's not the defense that we saw. I think if them dudes on defense play, they still might lose, but they don't lose by 60 points. Penn State. Penn State was giving up 11 points a game, and they were giving up like 223 yards a game on defense, passing. They gave up 400 plus yards against Ole Miss. They were missing their two starting corners. Two starting corners plus other guys on defense opted out. You mentioned Kyle McCord. He hit the portal. Marvin Harrison Jr. He opted out. Among other dudes, they have got to close. They the season isn't over when when conference championship games are done. There are still bowl games to be played. So a lot of these teams, these are not the teams that we are watching throughout the year. These are not the same teams we're seeing in bowl season. These are not the same football teams. And then you get out there and you wonder why Florida State gets blown out, or why Ohio State can't score a touchdown against Missouri. Missouri is a good football team. I picked Missouri to beat Ohio State, but 14-3, Ohio State, 14-3. Make that make sense. Make that make sense. Make the Penn State Ole Miss score make sense. Make that, and that's just and the other thing is, once again, I'm not a Georgia fan. I'm from Georgia. I'm not a Georgia fan. Kirby Smart said a lot of what Kirby Smart said was right. There are more games than just the New Year's Six. There are more bowl games than just the New Year's Six. This ain't just happening in New Year's Six bowl games. It's
Correct.
happening across. There are 35 other bowl games that this is happening in, where there are blowouts or the games aren't just what they are cracked up to be, what they should be, because the guys are opting out or they're hitting the portal. If guys opting out, yeah, okay. Like, I have a problem with that, but it is what it is. These dudes hitting the portal though, that's like that. bro. You got like Duke was literally the first team that I saw that had guys that were in the portal and had guys committed to other teams, and they were still letting them play. Duke's running back is committed to North Carolina State. He was playing in the game against Troy. That's the first team that I saw was actually allowing guys who were in the portal to still play in their bowl game for that team before they left. It, it's it, we have gotten away. We have truly gotten away from what college football is and is supposed to be. We have gotten away from it. It is no longer with me, with you, with anybody our age and older remembers college football being when we were 6 to 17 years old, 20 years old. It's not the same game anymore. Bowl games meant something when we were growing up. They Bowl games meant something. Playing in the Rose Bowl meant something. Playing in the Orange Bowl meant something. Playing in these bowl games meant something. They meant something to the team, to the players, to the coaches, to the fan bases. We played in 4 straight bowl games when I was at MT. Then there wasn't no opting out. There wasn't no opting out. If you could play, you were playing because winning a bowl game meant something. It don't mean nothing no more, and that's the problem because all the stuff, all the transfer portal stuff and the opting out and the in like it don't mean anything no more. If you ain't in the playoff, it don't matter. And even if you make one of these big bowl games, that don't matter. You got guys that's declaring for the draft that's opting out. That's they projected 5th round picks. What you opting out the game for?
Now that's where I have a problem with the opt out, right? Like I get it if you're a Caleb Williams, if you
Marvin
even
Harrison,
a
do your
Marvin
thing, bro.
Harrison
You about to be a
Jr.,
top 5 pick, bro.
you know what I'm saying? I'm not a big fan of him, but a Drake May, you know, if you one of the guys where you're
Jaden Daniels,
Jay, you know what I'm saying, Jaden Daniels, you know, where you're projected right now, if we had the draft starting tomorrow, you're getting first round money.
money, yes.
Fine. Even if you're like borderline day two, and I'm talking about early day two, like early second, mid
Mm-hmm.
second round. But when we talking about like why the hell is Joe Milton opting out of the bowl game? Come on, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like what do we do? Like
What are we
what are we
doing,
doing?
man?
Like what are we doing? You know what I mean?
Um,
Like Sam Hartman opted out his ball game and he's chilling on the sideline like he is already an alumni from Notre Dame or something. Like what like he
I
Matthew
don't,
McConaughey or something. Like what are we
I don't
doing?
know, I don't know when it became cool to not play in bowl games. I truly just don't. I truly just don't understand it, man.
Or
Like,
even and then even with the portal, right? I mean, to a certain extent, I guess like I'm okay with it when if they're going to, for example, right? AD Mitchell, AD Mitchell, who used to
mm-hmm,
be at Georgia,
mm-hmm,
the word about him, well, nothing came out until after the season was done about him transferring. I feel like if you're gonna hit the portal, I feel like you should do it that way, right? Finish your season with your guys. Now, obviously, his reason is different from other people. I don't know what everybody else is now. His reason was to get closer to family because he's from out that way and everything like
okay.
that. For him to go to Texas, right? But like you said, Tate Rodemaker, why are like Kyle McCord? Why are you guys but before the
Why?
bowl game? Why are you already leaving out hitting the portal? I mean, with DJU doing the same thing. You know what I mean? Like what you
The
can't at least finish it out with your guys and then go hit the portal. Like you can't wait for that next batch, that next
but
round to go. Like I you know, and I'm
so
not
the
sure how you know how the portal works more
yeah.
than I do. So
So part of the problem is it opens. This year opened December 4th, so it opens so early, and I
yeah.
get, I understand it why it opens that early. It opens that early because you need if you're going to transfer, you want to do mid year, you got to have a chance to, okay, if I'm gonna go and visit some schools, let me go and visit, and it gives you time to be able to get enrolled in whatever school you're going to attend and get set for that spring semester. But because it is so early, everybody jumps in as soon as the season's over with, and you don't know what happens. Like I said, now the roster that you thought you were gonna have in the bowl game is no more because everybody, some of your best guys are hitting the portal. There's guys that you thought might hit the portal that are still hitting it, and then there's guys that you didn't think were gonna hit the portal that still end up hitting the portal. So like that's where it comes down to. I think what they need to do, and then we can move to the semifinals out. I think what needs to happen is if they're going, then they need to regulate the transfer portal. There's no regulation. It's the wild wild west. I think that to cut down on the amount of guys that jump in the portal, because no one talks about the guys that don't find a school. No one talks about those guys. Because a lot of schools, when you hit the portal, you are not welcome back to said program. So if you don't find anywhere to go, you just out there. And a lot of guys are left just out there. But I think what needs to happen is if your head coach leaves, if your head coach leaves the program, or you are a senior or a grad guy, you can leave, you can hit the portal with no infraction, no penalty. Your head coach leaves, you're a senior, graduating senior, or you're a grad student. So, for example, Mike Elko leaves Duke, goes to Texas A&M. Anybody on Duke's roster can hit the portal, no penalty. Anybody across the country, you're a senior, you're graduating, you're a grad transfer, you can leave. If you want to leave the portal and you are an underclassman, you got to go back to sitting out for a year. Go back to sitting out for a year, six games, whatever it is. There has to be some type of, if you're gonna leave, you got to sit it down for a year, or whatever it. You got to sit it down for however long. I think that will help with the numbers and help with some of the stuff that we talk about when it comes to the portal, because guys just jump in, and when they think, oh yeah, I'm gonna have some type of value, I'm a receiver or I'm a running back, and there's you in the portal at running back, and guess what? There's another 1,000 running backs that's in the portal too. It just is what it is. That's just how it is now. So I think that would help, along with some other things. But these ball games are starting to get watered down, man. And what it would be crazy is that if you have guys, because next year you're going to 12 teams for the playoff. What's going to happen is it'd be crazy if guys opt out of that too. If guys opt out of that, that'll wake people up. And be like, okay, yeah, we got to do something.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. Florida State ticked me off. Florida State ticked me off, and then this some of these games just not. I mean, some of them just not good anymore, man. Like I can I don't know if I could tell you one bowl game I watched from start to finish, bro. Outside of Georgia Tech and UCF, and I just watched that because Tech is here in Atlanta. Outside of that, I didn't watch the games. It would have been the outside of the playoffs. Like I would have watched the playoff games, but like I didn't watch the game start. I didn't watch no ball game start to finish, bro. No one playing. So
I think
mm,
the only like two bowls I probably might have watched from start to finish was, I think I did the Peach Bowl, really just for entertainment purposes, the Pop Tart Bowl, just because
yeah,
I knew that they had the edible
like, there was some
mascot.
good ball games though. Like you
Yeah,
said,
yeah,
the Alamo Bowl is a good game every year. I don't know what's up. Whoever
yeah.
picked
That was,
them
yep,
teams and
yeah,
stuff,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the
That was a
Alamo
good
Bowl is
one. That
always
was yeah. That
good.
was that was a good one.
Valero Alamo Bowl, they always
Yeah,
do a good
yeah,
job.
yeah. That was a good one too,
But
for sure. So, yeah, man. I don't
it,
know. It's just some's gonna have to give for sure about that.
mm,
It can't be just focusing on just the the playoffs and whoever the semifinal bowls is going to be, and then the
Mm-hmm.
national championship and everything like that. And that's another story for another day too, about how they want to making suggestions about what should be where the location for the national championship should be now. But that's a whole another story for another day with that one. But
So supposedly next year is supposed to be in Atlanta. So
yeah, but basically, I think Kirk Hershey came out and said that they think that the Rose Bowl should just host the national championship every
okay,
year. You know what I
let's
mean?
move on. Yeah,
That's why I'm like, yeah, I'm like,
yeah. I already have a problem with the schedule too. They're not playing the national championship next year to January 20th, bro. The season is too
that
long, bro.
that is
The season too long. Think about
January
it,
20th.
Sanders. Think about it, bro. That's gonna be that's the same weekend because
It's like
Super Bowl
conference.
weekend is
That's like
always the
conference.
first. That's no.
That's
That's
like
probably gonna be the
conference
same as the
championship.
conference championship weekend, bro, in the NFL because they always have that extra week.
Well, if
You
it's
normally have
if it's the
always have that extra
20th,
week.
if it's the 20th, it may or well either way, it's gonna be around the playoffs. Yeah, somewhere in there, it's gonna be around the
So let's
playoffs. It'll
see,
be it's either it'll be the divisional or the
or the
conference
championship,
championship. Yeah.
which is too long, bro. That's too long of a season,
Wow,
bro.
that's insane.
That's too long of a
Dang, that's
season.
insane. Anyway,
Yeah.
man. So we had the college football playoff semifinals that happened this year. It was the Sugar Bowl and the Rose Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Man, once again, I think this year we got two great semifinal games.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to me, I think the Rose Bowl was a little choppy. Um, you
Okay.
know, penalties, mistakes, everything like that. But it had a great finish.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then obviously the Sugar Bowl had the scoring, the entertainment, the everything that we thought that it would have, and everything like that. Obviously, with the Rose Bowl came down to a win in the overtime, last
Mm-hmm.
play, and Michigan came out on top 27-20. And then same thing with the Sugar Bowl, Texas and
Mm-hmm.
Washington coming down to one last play. Great defensive play right there by the Washington defense to finish out on top 37-31. Uh, Once again, I mean, it seemed like the first few years of this 14 playoff, we always would either get two blowouts or there'd be one blowout and one close game.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't really been close, but this season and last season we've got two consecutive years where the semifinal games were, I mean, just masterful. Like it just had
Yeah.
everybody on edge. Great games. No one was saying like, "Well, this sucked" and everything like that. Um, I think that was a good thing that it happened like that. For especially the fact that this is the last year of the 14 playoff. I'm kind of glad that it played out that way. Now, I know you said you didn't get much of a chance to see everything because
Yeah.
you was living life. You know what I mean? You was living life.
Well, at that point, man, I was on a plane coming back.
Oh, you was dreading
But
life. Never mind. He's like,
yeah,
oh, I gotta go back.
yeah, I was coming back, man. I was trying to watch. I was excited because I was ready to watch them. We just wasn't able to. I think that the games played out the way I thought they were going to. I thought that the Rose Bowl, the Michigan Alabama game was going to be that hard nosed, physical, tight ball game, and I thought that the Sugar Bowl was going to be a shootout. Um, Obviously, I picked Alabama to win. I think there were a couple, you know, mistakes that Alabama made that Michigan capitalized on. There were some plays that were out there to be had for Alabama that they just didn't make. Um, I even think that last play of the game, I think if shown, now everybody, breaking it down and you seeing how the play was supposed to go or think how it was supposed to go. I think if Milrow follows that guard, man, I think he walks into the end zone. Um, but, Michigan made the plays. Um, and they won the football game against a good Alabama team. And then you flip it around to the Sugar Bowl with Washington and Texas. Mike Penix was out there just lighting them boys up. And Texas showed resolve and fought back and had a chance to, really win it. And they would have tied it up with a touchdown and the extra point win of the game. They had a chance to win the game. And Washington showed resolve again. And everybody talks about the offense for Washington. No one talks about the defense. And the defense makes a play at the end of the ball game to win. I've been saying it all year that Washington has continued to find ways to win football games. They found ways to win games. Whether they're shootouts, there are knockout, drag out, just bare knuckle brawls, like in the rain, the snow, and the cold, and wherever it is, they have found ways to win games all year. And I think that showed up on Saturday night, or excuse me, on New Year's night against Texas. And so I'm excited for the national championship game. Being from the South, obviously, it's like you if Alabama wins, you got more of a dog in the fight. But I think that once again, like you said, two great semifinal matchups. I wish I could have saw them live just to kind of get a little bit better feel for them. I watched the highlights of the games. JJ McCarthy played a good game. Obviously, the game that started the way he wanted it to go. Like you said, had those turnovers and things like that. Um, but it's like I said with the keys to the game. If Michigan can run the ball, it helps out JJ McCarthy and it helps out that football team, and that defense for Michigan is tough. I mean they play some defense. They play some good defense up there. So um, I thought that you got two good games, and I mean after seeing those, and I think that's nothing that kind of whatever with the Florida State thing. After watching those games too, like Alabama to get blown out, they lost in overtime. Like you got there were legit 7 teams that you could have put in the playoff this year, and I think you would have got somewhere, somewhere in
In
the
the
same
range of
realm of
that.
those type, yeah,
Yeah.
of those games. So I'm happy that it turned out that way. I'm happy that the games were good, and you got two undefeated teams playing for a national championship. Which how can you be mad at that? Truly,
Right. I mean, cause I can't think of the last time. The I guess
I don't know.
no. I was gonna say the last time Alabama and Clemson played, but I don't think. I think both of those
I think
teams had at
Alabama might have
least.
had a loss. Yeah,
I think both of them. I think they both might have had a loss around that time. So
I
you're
mean,
right. It's off the top of my head. It's been a while since we had
was Clemson
college.
undefeated with when they played LSU that year, or did they have the one loss?
Ooh, now they might have
They
been. I'm not sure.
they
They
might
might
have.
have been. They might have
Let me
been.
check on that. I'll check on that.
They might have been. Is that? No, no, no. That I was gonna say. Is that the? No, that wasn't the COVID year when Trevor Lawrence missed the game and they lost to Notre
Mm-mm.
Dame. No, it wasn't that year. So they might. Okay, that one might have been two
That
undefeated
might have been.
teams. That might have been. But
Nope, Clemson had a loss.
okay. All right then. So yeah. Oof.
Clemson had a
Oof.
loss.
Is it? Was it? No
They
way.
lost
Was
to
it the?
North Carolina. They lost to North Carolina State that year.
Ah.
I think.
Oh,
Oh no, I'm tripping. I'm tripping. I'm
the
tripping.
the
No, no, no. This is the wrong
the
year.
pit. Was it the pit? Was it the pit
It might have.
loss they had?
Hold on, man.
No,
This
that's
thing
the
acting
Sean Watson
stupid.
that I'm thinking about.
Let me see. Hold on. No, it's 2019 schedule.
Man,
They lost to.
so are you telling me that is Alabama Notre Dame the
They lost
last
to
time we
they lost
had?
to Notre Dame. They lost to Notre Dame that year in
Wow.
overtime.
Okay.
That's what it was. That's the DJ. That was his first start. Remember, Trevor
Okay.
Lawrence got hurt. That was
Okay.
DJ's
Okay.
first start up there in Notre
Okay.
Dame. Yep,
I thought so.
lost in
Okay.
overtime.
Okay. So
Probably was at
is
Alabama Notre
is
Dame.
Alabama
Yep.
Notre Dame the last time we might have had two under?
So was that 20
Gee,
or was Notre
that
Dame
was like.
undefeated in 2020 when they played? That was that the Devontae Smith year. 2020. Devontae Smith won the Heisman. Notre Dame might have been undefeated that year.
But they didn't make the playoffs that year, though. They didn't make the playoffs that year. Uh,
Oh, it wasn't. No, they
okay.
played Ohio State. I'm tripping. I'm
Well,
sorry.
they were undefeated too, so I guess. But
Yeah,
or it's like everybody else want to discredit everything else. That was the COVID year. Um,
Alabama was
so
gonna win that game regardless.
regardless, right? They were going
That
to win it
year for
regardless. That
sure.
year, they were going to win it regardless. But dang, that, yeah, just thinking about it. I mean, obviously, it's been a while then since we've seen two undefeated teams play for a national championship.
Hmm.
For sure. So it's gonna be interesting to see. I thought Yeah, I thought Michigan showed some great resolve for sure because they was definitely. I feel like those old Michigan teams would have messed around and been down. Probably
Mm,
would have got blown out, But they've definitely shown some poise, some resolve, and I mean, dude, Mike Penix was just lighting them, like you said. They was just lighting them boys up. It wasn't nothing. It wasn't
hmm
nothing the DBs could do. I figured if the D lineman for Texas was sweating those boys couldn't get back there
Yeah,
or couldn't slow them down with the run, it was gonna be a long night. Now, I will say this: I'm not sure how the extent of the injury was to Johnson, the running back for
yeah,
Washington. But that's a big
yeah.
blow if he's not gonna make, which he probably won't be the way it looked. It's gonna be a big blow to them come Monday. But man, when it comes down to it, bro, who is lifting up the trophy come Monday night between Michigan and Washington?
I'm rolling with Washington. I've been on the Washington train all year. I'm not jumping off now. I the the injury to Dylan Johnson definitely hurts. If he can't go, that's going to be tough.
Yeah,
But like I just said, Washington has found ways to win football games all season long on the road, at home, tough opponent versus tough opponent versus tough opponent versus tough opponent. They continue to find ways to win games. The biggest test for me going into this game is going to be how Washington's O line deals with Michigan's D line. Now you're talking about Washington's O line, who a lot of people feel is the best offensive line in the country, going up against Michigan's defensive line, who a lot of people think is one of, if not the best, defensive fronts in the nation. If Washington's offensive line can give Mike Penix some time, I'm letting you know right now, it's going to be an issue because Oduzier and Polk and McMillan, them boys, are different. And I mean, Michigan doesn't have to send a lot of pressure. They can get pressure with four, but if that offensive line can give Penix some time, he can and will hurt Michigan. He'll hurt that back end. But I think even the Sugar Bowl is indicative of what I've been talking about all year about them continuously to find ways to win games, and they're going to be an underdog. There's going to be a lot of people that are not going to give Washington a chance to win this game. I think that a lot of people didn't give Washington a chance to beat Texas. If I'm going to be completely honest, I think a lot of people picked Texas to win this game, win the Sugar Bowl. So I'm gonna pick Washington. I think that quarterback for quarterback, I think Washington has the better quarterback. I think they've been battle tested. I think that this defense is going to show up and play better than people are going to expect. And if this becomes a shootout, I like Washington. If Washington shows that they can move the ball and score touchdowns against this team at a high clip, it's gonna get ugly. Because I don't think Michigan is built for a shootout. I don't think Michigan is built to drop back and have McCarthy throw the ball 40 times to win a game. And so, the way that he played, some of those turnovers, the interceptions and stuff, you do that against Washington in that offense, you're gonna be in trouble quick. So, give me Washington, man. I'm gonna roll with the Huskies.
I like that. I like that. For me, I mean, dude, like you said, you mentioned here that receiving core for Washington is crazy,
Hmm.
and McMillan missed time. He was hurt part of the year. That's
Oh yeah, for a big chunk of the
so.
year.
So just imagine all of them full strength for a full season. It could have got ugly for a lot of
Yeah,
different teams for
it could have
sure.
been bad.
For them doing all that. Like I said, I do hate that they probably won't have Dylan Johnson there. But I mean, to me, I think the key is going to be who can neutralize who, right? Like if Washington can neutralize Michigan's defensive line to make sure they can't get pressure like that, and if, like you said, if Penix get time back there in that pocket, I I know Michigan has some solid DBs, but if I had to pick between the DBs and the wide receivers of Washington, I'm I'm sorry, I'm putting my money on
Mm-hmm.
Washington just because I mean, that's they're special, man. And then I mean
Mm-hmm.
the other side of the ball for Michigan, I mean, the way to neutralize Washington really is to keep Michael Penix and them on the sideline, right? So
Yep.
this is gonna have to be a which I mean something that they would love to do anyway is just to run the ball. This would be a huge, Blake Corum game. Like, can he have another type
Mm-hmm.
of game that he had like in the Rose Bowl? And then when it's time to make throws, can JJ McCarthy make those timely throws to Wilson and the rest of those guys, to the young freshman. I can't think his name, the one who muffed the punt earlier, but he made up for
Yeah.
it.
I don't know.
I can't
Yeah.
think his name right now, but can he get those guys,
Mm-hmm.
involved? Loveland, the tight end, you know what I'm saying? Like, can he make sure they get them involved to where they can be balanced, right? So I think that Michigan will make sure that they slow this game down, not have it in the
Mm-hmm.
shootout. Because I'm with you. If it gets into a shootout, it's game over. If you look up and it's 10-0, 17-7, 21-10, and Michigan ain't stopped Washington. Washington's going down 4 drives, and it's been all touchdowns, and they've got a touchdown and 2 field goals. They're in trouble. They're in trouble
Mm-hmm.
because they just can't. They don't have that quick strike ability like a Washington to just hurry up and get those points back. If it comes to shootout, it's GG's, and we already know who's the champion gonna be by halftime. I think Michigan will find a way to be able to slow it down. Keep They have to keep their offense on the sideline. That's gonna be the best way to do it. We've seen it. I don't want to make the comparison to the NFL, but I have to. We've seen what a lot of teams have done. Like, for example, with the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Granted,
Mm-hmm.
their wide receivers suck this year, but still, at the same time, if you keep Patrick Mahomes on the sideline and you're going 6, 7 minute drives, and before you know it, the quarter is halfway done, or a third of the, 2/3
Mm-hmm.
of the way done, and he ain't touched the ball yet. He ain't been on the field yet. Well, instead of them now getting 75 to 80 plays, maybe 75 to 80 plays. Now it's only 65 to 70 or 60 to 65 plays because
Mm-hmm.
you've controlled the clock. I think Michigan will find a way to do it. Um, let's just be real; they've been dealing with BS all year.
Yeah. No
From
doubt.
the self imposed suspension with Coach Harbaugh to the whole, the sign stealing allegations and everything like that. And I mean, whether you want to say it with or without it, 14 times they've done it. 14 times they've been successful.
Yeah.
Can they make it a 15th? It's possible. I think they do. And what a story, right? Just amidst of all the distractions, everything that's going on. And I think this is going to be the the serenade of Coach Harbaugh, and then we'll find out that they actually really did it. He'll leave, go to the NFL, and go to
All you're gonna do is vacate the wins.
it just as the wins get vacated,
Take
and it's
them.
gonna be like,
Let, let,
dang,
let me get that banner, big dog.
yeah, they like, dang, or maybe not. Maybe
Or
they
maybe
won't
not.
find maybe they won't find anything else, and that's
Yeah.
the end. But I still think he may
I think
try to
he's
go back
gone. I
to the
think he's
NFL.
gone.
I
Yeah.
think he's gone. So he
I
have
think
his
win or
swan
lose, he's
song.
gone.
Yeah, he'll
Yeah.
have his swan song moment here, his swan song
Mm-hmm.
moment, and he can lift up the trophy, say, "Hey, I did this for my alma mater." We finally got to think about this, right? Both of these teams, right, having both of them. It's been 25 plus years since they've won a natty. So both teams are. I think this is, to a certain extent, I get it. It's kind of weird not seeing an SEC team in the championship. We haven't
Mm-hmm.
seen it since Oregon, Ohio State, which is funny.
Mm-hmm.
That's Big Ten, Pac-12, and that's what it's going to be here, Big
What it's
Ten,
gonna be? Yeah.
Pac-12. But I mean, I think it's going to be interesting to see, just because, especially now, you think about it though. Like I said, it's been 25 plus years for both of these teams to what since they last won a national championship. We wasn't even thought of the last time Washington won it,
No.
and we were babies,
when
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 we're little
Michigan won
toddlers
it.
when you feel me when Michigan won it. So it was just like,
Yeah.
we some we haven't seen in a while. So I mean, I think it's something interesting to see. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to deal with the. I mean, there could have been storylines, I guess, if you had it with Alabama and Texas or whatever,
Yeah.
or however you want to do it. But the storylines here are going to be great too. I mean, we got two good head coaches, man, two good quarterbacks, two
Hmm.
all around great teams. Who they, whether you like them or don't like them, they've earned their way here to this moment. So I'm just hoping it'll be a great game. Hopefully it doesn't end up like last year's national championship game. Hopefully it doesn't get to the point where it's a huge blowout. But
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to a good game. But I'm gonna go with Michigan. I'll say Michigan ends up winning it. They'll cap off this season and just you know write it off no other type of way, man. But I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if Washington found a way to get it done either, though. But I'm gonna roll with Michigan. I'm gonna roll with Michigan.
There it is.
Yes, sir.
There it is. If
Yes, sir.
if if Michigan wins, do we let them on?
Yes, I say yes just because
Okay. Okay.
I feel like, and maybe is it unfair sometimes? Yes, but then sometimes I feel like he gets it coming. But B
Yeah.
dude
Yeah.
he get a lot of slander from the Goonies just because pretty much outside of him and Eli, everybody else team is either on the West Coast or
Yeah.
down
Or the
south. So they're
SEC.
like they're the only Midwest up north guys where they're just like it,
They
or
catch it. They catch it.
they catch it a lot. Any because it's
Okay.
kind of like, I mean, it's kind of
They
like, think
catch.
about it,
They
right?
get a
Like
lot of
when,
smoke. They get a lot of
yeah,
smoke
yeah,
thrown
it's kind of
everywhere.
like when it's kind of like when Georgia loses or if Alabama
Hmm.
loses, and we kind of be like ha ha, but we don't really say much. It's like whatever, but it's like we're like, oh shit, Michigan lost. Where Brashawn at? Oh, Ohio State lost. Oh, Eli, where you at? It's like, bro, we just, I don't know what it is. They just get turned, bro. We turn up on them folks, bro, and it's just like,
We do.
so
We do. We
and
do
it's
them. Yeah.
right, think about it,
We
right?
do
We'll
them
be
bad.
like,
We do.
be a say something, and then you'll have like Tim come in. Florida ain't been good in a few years, right? And he could be like, I seen the championship of my lifetime. What about you? And it's just like, damn, what can
You
you
right.
say, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
damn, what could you say? Because I'm thinking the same thing, like, damn, that was me 3 years ago. I'm like, yeah, I can't be in this conversation when y'all had this because I ain't seen one in my lifetime. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
kind of like, yes. So Brashawn, Michigan, if Michigan wins, bro, just know you have a spot. You got a you. We might give you a whole like 10-minute segment to yourself just to address do your State of the Union address to everybody who has
Oh
said some
man.
bad things about you and your squad, man. I might I let them have it for sure. I let them have it.
Washington, please. Hey man. Game planning. Let's get this game plan right. Let's get this game plan right. All right, cool. All right, all right.
Yeah, we'll let them have it, man,
You
for
heard it. You
sure,
heard it on the
man.
podcast. I just had that. You
Yeah,
heard it on the podcast. You go. You
yeah,
come
man.
on next episode. You come on.
Yeah,
Talk your talk, bro.
yeah, for sure.
If they win,
If they win, we'll let them. Yeah, we'll let them have it for sure, man. Man, as we get ready to wrap up another episode, man. Anything you want to say to the people?
and nothing but Happy New Year, man. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Everybody that made it to 2024, you are blessed to make it to see um, another trip around the sun. And I think that as you jump into the new year, everybody always has resolutions, everybody has goals, things that they want to accomplish. Man, just don't let the high and the excitement of the new year fizzle out in 2, 3 weeks, in a month, in 2 months, man. Like, if there's things that you want to accomplish, things that you want to do, goals that you have set, man, like, keep that, whatever you got to do to keep that fire, keep that drive, that energy going, man. Keep it going. Don't let things fall by the wayside, man. There's too many times people set goals and have resolutions and then don't accomplish them, and at the end of the year they regret it. And then set the same resolution or set the same goal for the new year, 2025, and then it's a cycle, man. Like, just whatever it is, man. Attack it head on, full steam ahead, and let's get to it. Let's get to it in 2024. That's it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Same thing for me, man. It's to me, it's for I'm going by dad, and that's going for me. That's an
Mm-hmm.
acronym right there, man. That's discipline, attitude, determination. You know what I mean? You gotta have
Mm-hmm.
it. You gotta have it. Um, we can't, you can't sit up here and just, like you said, kind of have a way to where you have stuff set in mind um, that you want to do. Be disciplined to keep it up, keep it going, And then if it doesn't go necessarily the way you want it to go at that moment, don't be so quick to just throw it away and give up on it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Try to keep that attitude positive, you know what I'm saying? And just be determined to get it done, man. I mean, no matter how big or how small, you want it to where, I don't know, you want to make sure you just save you a certain amount of money for this month, man. And if you don't do it that month, all right, don't be so down on yourself. You
Mm-hmm.
got That's what you got 11 other months for. That's what you got 11 other months for. If you know what I'm saying, if you're granted for it for sure. Um, so just kind of have that mindset to where like yeah, you want the results, let's get it done, but also remember that you're still playing the long game. You're still playing the long game. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Just continue to find that balance. Just have your focus there that you want it to be for the new year, man. To keep it all throughout the year, not just like you said, not around this time where it's just so trendy and cool to be
Mm-hmm.
like, well, this is my resolutions for the new year. Make sure these are like legit goals that you are trying to set for yourself and get accomplished, man. Because when you do it and when you accomplish it, you gonna feel. I promise you, you're gonna feel a whole lot better
Man,
about yourself. You're gonna
dude.
feel a
Yeah.
whole lot better about yourself for sure, for sure. That's really all I got too, as far as like saying anything, man. Far as the motivational stuff. Far now, entertainment
Mm-hmm.
purposes, it is Capricorn season. Just gotta let y'all know that
Jill, Jill.
it is Capricorn season. You know what I
It
mean?
is our time. There's a lot. It's once again we said it before. I mean, a group of people, man. You end the year, you start the year, and I had this debate with my dad, man.
Come on,
Jesus
by default,
is a
let's go. What?
Capricorn, man.
What? Come on. That's
So
the
I'm
that's
just,
the that's the ultimate trump that we can give everybody. Y'all don't have Jesus in y'all zodiac.
and
That's the ultimate
I
trump
don't
I
think he
can.
believe in those, but I don't know if he believe
I don't.
in
Yeah, I don't. He
zodiacs.
might not believe in them, but for our argument's sake, that's boom. That's my trump right there. You feel me? That's my trump.
But yeah, Capricorn season, man. Capricorn season. We already celebrated Sanders' birthday for the show.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
man. That's it. That's it. So
Yeah, that's really it for that. But then, far as here with the podcast, man, continue to support us. We appreciate it. Keep liking and subscribing to the YouTube channel. Keep following us on all the socials, on
mhm.
Instagram, on Twitter. I'm still calling it Twitter. I'm not. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I haven't called the X
Yeah. What
at any
what they
point in
what they
time.
what he say on Coming to America? Mama named Cassius.
I'm gonna call
Don't call him Cassius.
him. Mama name Clay. I'm calling
Mom,
Clay.
I'm calling Clay. Hey, we know
Hmm.
it's Twitter. I'm calling it Twitter. I
That's
can't
it.
call it that else. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But yeah, man. So yeah, follow us on there. Uh, follow us on the Twitter. Follow us on the Instagram. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We got some things that we working on. Still trying to get together here that we coming up for. So be on the lookout for that. Uh, it's gonna be a good year. It's gonna be a good year. That's
That's
really
it.
that's really
Yeah.
all I can say, man. So we just want y'all to continue on to on this journey with us. I mean, we really, really, really appreciate it. Man, love black women, cherish black women, protect black women. No means no.
No still means no.
New year, same thing. At the end, that's it. New year, same thing, man. No means no. All right. Shoot. That's That's really it, right? No means no. You feel me? I mean, ain't really no other way to
And
explain it, man. Ain't really
yeah,
no other way to explain it, man. If you need, hey, if you need some quotes that you need to find, man, some motivational quotes, right down. I'm telling you, bro, go listen to that Cat Williams, dog. I know I know the delivery could be might be a little extreme for some of y'all, but
bro, I mean,
hey,
yeah.
hey,
If you haven't watched that one, man, look up Shay Shay. You talking about start? Yeah, yeah.
hey,
Cat went
yeah,
out there and started dismantling some stuff.
tough. You know what I mean? But other than that, man, I ain't really got nothing else, man. We ain't really got nothing else until the next time. This has been another episode of the Easy Money Sports Podcast.
Peace.